Hey everyone, Will Cooper here, host of HuntStand's Make Your Mark podcast. Join us as we dive deep into the world of hunting and outdoor pursuits. We've brought together some of the most accomplished individuals in the industry to share their invaluable insights and experiences with you. But here's the kicker. It's not just about hunting tips and tactics. We're exploring how you can carve your own path, elevate your skills, and gain some wisdom from the best in the field. So whether you're a seasoned hunter looking to fine-tune your skills or a newbie eager to learn, our podcast has something for everyone. Stay tuned for more exciting guests and hotter topics. Don't miss out and subscribe to HuntStand's Make Your Mark podcast today and start making your mark in the great outdoors.
Outdoor Drive Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back. This week we are closer to turkey season. It's episode 241. We have our good buddies or friends, foe, from Pattern Pros. I guess does that jive, Steven?
I don't think they're foes.
No, what's a foe?
Enemy.
Oh, a foe is an enemy. Yeah, well, okay, they're not foes. They're friends. I guess I'm not good at this, I guess, right? I mean,
Diploma starts with D, Trev. That's all you need to know.
That's it. Hey, listen, you know what? I graduated school with C+, so I guess this is a C+ moment.
That's debatable. But anyways.
Well, I'm joined by my good buddy, Mr. Madman Mardick. What's up?
I graduated top of my class, by the way.
Did you? Actually, I did also. But
actually, that's a lie. I graduated middle of my class because my last name begins with M, so I got my diploma kind of in the middle somewhere. But I think that's how it works, right?
I was the top of my class because my name ends with a B, so.
Yeah. So,
whatever.
Anyways.
Makes you feel better. Makes me feel better. At least it is what it is.
If you're still listening after all that, welcome to the Outdoor Drive.
Well, you know where moms are, so that's two listeners that were in the right realm, right?
That's right. She was there when I graduated too, so she's the day one and ride or die.
Truth. Let's go. No. All right. Let's get on with the podcast. Let's get on with the show so that we don't lose everybody.
I might get off here if this keeps up.
Yeah, that's very true. What's the good word out there, man? I know we're like what, a week away from.
It's not good.
No.
I'm seeing. I mean, I've been not a ton, but I've been out scouting and roosting birds and stuff. And dude, it's pretty grim out there. I'm not finding nearly as many birds as I used to.
Right.
I don't know if it's the weather. I hope it's the weather. We won't really know until it's go time. But
right.
I mean, in the past, man, I have not had problems painting birds in various locations, and like it's been kind of a struggle. I'm not gonna lie.
So it's in driving around constantly seeing a ton of birds, but in non-huntable areas. Like trying to pull those aces out of the hat, and just they're not where they normally are. Yeah, we're starting to see that reflection.
I'm almost not even seeing that, to be honest with you. So like, some of those pockets, like really pristine ag land that's private property that like nobody hunts. It's just a sanctuary, and you always see birds there. I'm not even seeing birds in places like that right now. Like those prime strutting days where you're like, there's got to be a strutter in this field. I'm not seeing anything.
So it's kind of crazy. And one of the things in scouting and to definitely know if a bird is in a certain area, in my opinion doesn't mean anything, but it's just an opinion, is these rain days. These rain days are some of those days that you want to look in them fields where them birds will just be stacked up in the middle of the field. And I have been seeing a couple, here and there, but it's not, I took a ride the other day and kind of checking that A++ spots, 2 of them, and I didn't see nothing.
You know where I've seen more birds than anywhere this year, which is kind of weird? dead on the side of the highway.
That's tough.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I mean, once in a blue moon, you'll be like, oh, damn, that was a dead turkey on the side of the road. Dude, I've seen like 4 dead turkeys already on the side of the highway.
It's a struggle, and I think that, we talk about this all the time, is that 5 bird limit, and guys kind of talk back and forth, and they say, oh, there's plenty of birds, the same amount of birds to kill, 5 birds, and there's no birds, blah, blah, blah. No. It hurts. This hurts. I don't care what anybody says. It hurts.
I think anybody that's honestly paying attention to the population, like you said, checking fields on rainy days and getting out and roosting and hitting the owl call like early in the morning, like weeks before the season, and actually doing homework, I think those guys are seeing the same thing. Like, the population is hurting. The guys that are arguing that and saying, no, it's fine, they haven't been out yet. And by the time, my biggest fear is people are going to realize it's hurting until it's already too late. And I feel like it already is too late.
Right.
Like, this season is going to put a big dent in the population.
Yeah, and it's sad. It really is. New England has been known for some of the best turkey hunting. I mean, 15 years ago when I grew up turkey hunting, I mean, you couldn't get away from the things. I mean, it was crazy. It was nuts. I mean, it was the cream of the crop. It was those days that we talk about as deer hunters, right? If we knew what we knew now back then, as in our teens, right?
Yeah.
And it would be crazy. And it's the same. I mean, I got to experience a good amount of it growing up and killing birds, but I didn't know what I know now about turkey hunting. I was a decent turkey hunter back then. I'm a decent turkey hunter now. But, like, if I knew a little bit more back then, I think I'd be a little bit more successful and kill more birds. I mean, and it's the same with the deer hunt. It's the same. Back in the late 90s, what was the deer hunting here? Phenomenal. Killing monster. I mean, it was beautiful hunting. It was gorgeous. Killing great deer constantly. Now you got to hunt a little bit harder to find those birds and get in them, and get into those special areas and think outside of the box. Those birds that haven't been hunted, those not, you know what I'm saying? And you're starting to see it, man.
And most of my statements are directed more towards like public land, right?
Yeah. Well,
if you're out there, if you have 200 acres of, pristine ag land with pockets of birds, like, you're going to be fine. You're going to have birds in the same spots. But I truly believe, like, public land birds are going to be earned this year for sure.
Well, it's crazy is even 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I've been an avid, public land hunter, and you got to put in work, man. Like, you got to have, tricks up your sleeve. You got to have 6, 8, 10, 12 spots that you're running around gunning trying to find them birds. I mean, like, you got to work hard, and there's days, there's emotions that take over, and then, like, you hunt hard to try and kill them birds. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so, and now it's just getting harder and harder and harder. When there was 5 birds in that spot, now there's 2 birds. You know what I'm saying? And you're just like,
I've got one spot in particular, and if you know me that well, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say where it is. You could pull into the parking lot this time of year, hit the owl call, and hear a gobbler in 3 different directions from the parking lot.
Right.
This year, I cannot find a gobbling bird anywhere on that public.
Yeah.
Anywhere. The entire piece. I'm not saying he's not there,
right?
But I've never worked that hard just to find one on a particular piece of public,
I think some of it that comes along with it too. I mean, if you think about it, Steve, if some of that, the food has changed, the food source has changed, just like deer hunting, they just might be in a different spot, and then them. It's just finding them. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of work to be put in, and there's less birds, there's less, and things may be a little bit behind. Next week things could just pop off. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely a grind. It's a lot harder. It's tougher. There's less birds, people more out of state, and it is what it is, man. I don't want to complain on it, but like,
no,
it's a statement that we say. Killer's gonna kill. Like, we're gonna find birds. We're gonna put in the time. We're gonna put in the effort. We're still gonna do it, but it's just finding that edge, and we're in that motion that we need to just step up to the game, dude. Get up to the plate.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't mean to sound like I'm complaining either. I like a challenge, right? That's why I love to bow hunt. I
Right.
want to earn it. I want to grind. I want to put in the work and figure it out. And when I'm successful, I want to be like, damn, dude, I earned that bird. That's what gets me off. But it's it's gonna be there this year for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
What's crazy is because, I always like to do something unique every turkey season, right? Something a little bit different out of the box. So I picked up the trumpet call. And, what's funny is tonight, like we've been talking the past couple of days, yo, what are you seeing, whatever, kind of like your thing. I'm going out with Kaysen here tomorrow, Saturday. And I'm like, I don't know, I might leave that trumpet call at home. Because you're just like, I don't want to screw it up, man, because I don't know.
You might want to bring it though. You might have to pull it out, and you never know. It might be the golden ticket on a bird you can't find.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just you start to think about it, like it all plays back in your head, and you're just like, I don't know, do I want to do that? Like, but it is what it is. I think we'll go out, we'll see what it's all about out there, and just hit the pavement running.
I think I decided I'm actually going to try something new this year too.
What are you going to do?
I think I'm going to try to kill one over decoy.
Oh, Jesus.
I've never killed a bird over decoy.
I'll tell you, when it all comes together, I mean, I enjoy the fact of having a decoy sometimes. I mean, like, it's your worst, it's your best friend and it's your worst enemy in the same sentence. Like, it can make or break a hunt. You know? When they do dirty. When they do a dirty on a decoy, it's sick. But when they hold up at 50, it's not so sick.
You might want to shoot the decoy.
Right.
Yeah, I prefer to not have one. I don't feel like carrying it around. It's a hassle, right? It's a pain in the ass, especially if you're running a gun. Maybe for the first setup of the day, but after that, it's like I could live without it. And I honestly like beating a bird with just calling them, right? It's just me and the bird and a mouth call and beating them that way. But because I've never killed a bird over a decoy, I got to experience it, right?
You got to play around with it.
I can't really have an opinion on something I've never done.
Yeah.
So I think this year might be the year that I put one out and see what happens, and maybe I'll never do it again after that. But you got to do it at least once, right?
So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I love, like I said, man, 9 times out of 10, I have it in the truck. I probably use it 3 out of 6 times, right? Like, just, depending the situation. If I'm bow hunting, I bring it because I'm gonna take that chance. I'm gonna take that chance that thing's gonna come in, and then now its focal point is on there. Like opening day, I'll probably end up bringing it to me in the woods, in the private. I'm gonna hunt private land, pristine private land on opening day. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to the petting zoo, and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna bring the decoy. The old man's going to be on the old crossbow, so we'll see what happens. I have a little nerve on that. Oh, speaking of arrows and stuff, huge shout out to Lydia. Yeah, dialed in. She's been a really good friend. Her and Chris have been really good friends of ours for a little bit of time. We met them over. I met them actually on a Facebook group.
But they came to Beards and Brews. They came to
Beard and Brews. Then they came down to
Mohegan Sun.
And we hung out with them and drank beer. And they, they're always conversing back and forth with us. Chris is kind of bouncing off the ideas and stuff. And Lydia had shot her bird in Virginia. And she called me. And she had asked me, like, hey, I don't really know what to do. Like, I shot a bird and it ran off. And she's like, do I track it like a deer? Do I let it rest? And we kind of walked through the process, and, she just genuinely didn't know and just wanted some help and some guidance, like a good buddy would call you to ask you, hey, I just shot a big buck, what do you think I should do? And it was cool to be part of it, for her to think about, calling me and asking those questions. So it was really cool, and she's actually sent me a bunch of videos of her tracking it with blood, and I was like, it's right there. I'm telling you, it's right there. Look under every nook and cranny. I'm telling you, it's right there. And she ended up finding it. So huge congratulations to her and some of her achievements. And you guys will see Lydia here on the podcast in the near future. we're super excited about, the endeavors that her and Chris are taking and what they have to come forward with. Some really cool things. So we're excited to be called their friend, so
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that. So congratulations to her on her turkey. Well, Steve, I think that we've overstayed our welcome here.
Yeah, I'm tired.
What do you think?
Coffee.
You need a coffee? Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. I'm getting the sniffles, the pollen sniffles. So I don't know. You get allergies?
Every once in a while, but not regularly.
Man, I don't know. Somebody got
You
me
get the
sick.
Claritin, bro.
I don't know, man. I've been taking everything I can under the sun. I did a home show. I feel like I'm gonna die. I don't know. Whatever.
Claritin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good. I need it better
So
for turkey
there you
season. Because how are you gonna turkey mouth diaphragm and you can't breathe through your nose? Could you imagine what I would sound like? I couldn't do it. I'd probably choke and die. But
Probably
anyways.
sound better.
Huh?
It might sound better.
That maybe. It might be good for everybody. I might not make it out alive. So
Choking on your mouth.
So hey, it's all good. You think? Do you think old Mark has a insurance on that? A choking hazard?
Ooh, maybe.
You
I
ever
don't
think
think I
about
saw a warning. I don't think I saw a warning.
You ever think about that? Like a mouth call? No, I'm just kidding. Go after like Woodhaven. Oh, I didn't see a choking hazard on that. Anyways, let's break on into it. So we are the official bow of the Outdoor Drive podcast. Bowtech refused to follow. BowtechArchery.com, I believe it is. Is that what it is, Steve?
No idea.
No idea. I'm not good at this. I probably should.
I know. I've been telling you that for a while.
Well, so then you probably should just go find them at it's bowtecharchery.com. I was good on that one. So you can go down to Hall's Archery here in Connecticut and find yourself a Bowtech. Huntworthgear.com, guys. Go and check them out. They are the official camo of the Outdoor Drive. We've been hunting with them for a couple of seasons here. Some of the best gear, hands down. Light, packable, comfortable, durable. It's just, the list goes on and checks all of the boxes. Latitude Outdoors, latitudeoutdoors.com. Guys, we say it every single week. Now's the time to be building your climb. It's the off season. Mess around. I know it's turkey season, but mess around with sticks and platforms and saddles and knee pads and all that stuff. Now's the time to do it. So go and check them out. latitudeoutdoors.com. Nor'easter Game Calls, nor'eastergamecalls.com. Get all your turkey calls. It's about to be turkey hunting season. You guys are going to sound like the avian bird flu because you didn't practice, but go and check those guys out, nor'eastergamecalls.com. Fourth Arrow Camera Arms. Guys, we've just partnered up with them. Their tripods. We're going to tear those things all the way through turkey season and then right into the camera arms for the deer season. Some of the really cool stuff. I actually got their fluid head. Actually, as we're recording this podcast.
What I got from too for bear camp.
What'd you get?
I think a sick bracket that clamps onto a rail of like a ladder stand or a buddy stand.
Uh-huh.
You get a little side rail.
For sure.
It clamps onto that, and then you can drop your you can put your fluid head directly to that bracket, or you can put the pin on it and like drop your camera arm onto that bracket. So you don't need the tree. You can connect your camera arm right to the tree stand.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They got some really good stuff, dude. The wind sense. They got all kinds of really good stuff over there. So go and check those guys out. Fourth Arrow. CameraArms.com. And last but not least, the Saddies is fatties. If the Saddies are flying, the turkeys are dying. We just believe in Saddies. We're not really partnering with them. We just believe in them. It's just
Saddies might be the reason why the Connecticut turkey population is on the decline.
Probably has something to do with it. If you guys need some Saddies, make sure you go check him out on Facebook and Instagram. He might be a little low now. He's been packing them forever, so go and check those guys out.
I got mine just in time.
And speaking of ammunition, Pattern Pros USA. We have him on the podcast here, Ryan, talking about some really cool things. You can just order a box of their shot, shoot their shot, pattern your gun, and get it underway. So what do you think, Steve-O? Let's get Ryan on the phone and let's talk shotgun shells.
Let's go.
All right, guys, we're back on and live with Ryan Burnett. What's up, man? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Closer to turkey season, you're already turkey hunting, so I guess we're a little jealous there. We're ready and fired up for that. It's right around the corner.
Well, I'm walking around a lot. I mean, I guess I thought there were turkey noises, but I don't. Maybe not. It may sound terrible. Who knows?
Have you ever heard a live hen? I mean, like, you ever have a live hen, like, you hear it and you're like, oh, I think that's another hunter, and then it walks by and it just sounds like absolute dog crap.
No, actually, the last few days ago, that was I actually felt impressed with myself because I was like, I'm gonna getting ready to turn back onto a road, and I've been messing around with doing a cut on my slate, and I did it a couple times, and I heard something, and I'm like, I don't think there's anybody else on the club right now, and then there ended up being a hen 30 yards from me doing the same thing back to me. So I actually felt, I was like, I may not sound half bad. They're just there's no turkeys around. Maybe that's it.
Dude, I've had some times that you hear that cut in, and you're like, dude, that is the worst box call I've ever heard in my life. And here she comes, and you're like, that is no way possible that a turkey actually sounds like that. Makes you feel very impressed that you sound that good sometimes,
Yeah, I think that calling, I mean, yeah, it helps to, I would say, sound good, but at the same time, I don't think they're nearly as persnickety as ducks. Like, you got to sound like a duck. Like, but turkeys, you sound somewhat like a turkey, and I feel like you could probably get a gobble.
It's very true, very true. Ryan, why don't we put this thing right in 4-wheel drive? Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do?
Ryan Burnett. I'm here in Walterboro, South Carolina. Originally from just outside of Seattle, Washington, and 8 years in the Marine Corps. And me and two buddies from the Marine Corps have started Pattern Pros, and it's been a pretty fun ride. But yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to just go ahead and dive right into that?
That was my next question, man. What is Pattern Pros, and what do they do?
So, I would say for everybody who's got Facebook, which is just about everybody nowadays, on every one of your duck hunting groups and turkey hunting groups, people are going to ask what shell shoots best out of this gun with this choke, and I see it. I don't know how many times a day. Like, it's very repetitive. And it started about a year and a half ago. One of my other buddies that we started this with, Brody, we were talking. He was super frustrated. He bought a new gun and tried a couple different boxes of shells. He said, dude, they just their patterns suck. And he likes to get things as perfect as they can get. And I was like, all right, let's see what we can't do about this. Like, figure something out. And so we decided we're going to put more than one type of shell in a single box. And went back and forth, and then was like, I think we're on to something. I talked to some friends and family, called him up the next night, said, dude, let's freaking do this. And we got our other buddy, Christian, involved, and kind of off we went. We started kind of figuring stuff out, and but there isn't anything else out there like it. So we felt like we had a good thing going. So for waterfowl, we did 8 different types of shell with 3 of each shell in a single box. So you get 24 shells in a box. And then that's pretty much your most popular brands. I mean, everything, Winchester, Migra, Boss, Heavy Shot, Federal, I mean, just about everything. So we've got 12 gauge and 20, and for 12, we've got Pattern Pack 1 and Pattern Pack 2. So there's 8 different brands in each, and shot size 2 and shot size 3. Now there's a couple different bismuth loads in there, so their shot sizes I want to say are number 5s, but a huge variety of shells. And then for 20 gauge, it's just one pack for right now, number 2s, but we'll be expanding that. So it's you get to try so many more shells without spending an absolute ton of money. I think Brody had broke it down to where you'd spend over $300 trying just to buy 8 different boxes of shells. And it's frustrating because, there's so many different shotguns out there. There's so many different shells, and there's so many different choke tubes that you've got so many different options that you don't actually know what's going to shoot best until you actually try it. And so it's been a really cool experience so far. And people, waterfowlers in particular, a lot of them don't pattern their guns. I think some of it has to do with it's expensive. There's no doubt about it. But we've really made that so much easier, and just kind of a one-stop shop where you're going to try out 8 different shells in one box, and you can't hardly buy 2 boxes of shells to try out nowadays without spending as much for that. Like our box is $59.99, and hopefully things are getting even better with some of the partnerships we're forming with some ammo companies, but it's been a really cool ride so far. So hopefully we can really change the way people go about hunting with a shotgun. And then for turkeys, we have 12, 20, and 410. So for 12, we've got 3 different boxes. We got 2 3-inch boxes. One's an all TSS box, and the other one is an all lead box. And then we have a 3.5-inch, which has a few different options in there. 410's all TSS, and then 20 gauge is mostly TSS with the 2 boxes, but there is a couple different lead loads in there. So again, there's just so many different options that, and I can't tell you why they all shoot differently out of a specific gun and a different choke tube and then different constrictions. I'm really not that smart. I mean, I was a grunt in the Marine Corps, so the brains isn't the biggest thing. But there's just so many different options out there. We try to simplify it as much as we can, and people who want to pattern their guns, that's the easiest and cheapest way to do it.
And I think, one of the things too, especially, going back on the waterfowl side, I mean, a lot of guys don't pattern their guns, or the ones that do, they just shoot a load and they go, oh, I killed a bunch of ducks with that, so I'm going to continue to shoot it, or it getting to the point with steel shot, it's getting so expensive or so hard to find in certain stores. I mean, for a couple of years now, it was just tough to find any type of steel load. So you just kind of shoot what you could and hope that you hit what you hit, and it is what it is, and it's flying, and, you just, just keep shooting, like, oh, my shot was off, or it sucks, or whatever. And one of the biggest things that I find as guys with waterfowl hunting is over choking. So they want to get that more extra full, and then you start pushing that lead through it, and you're over choking it. It's one thing that I found, especially going with Boss, where Boss is a copper plated round, and it doesn't have that, I guess, the rigidity. Yeah, that is the right word. All right. Sometimes I make up words, Ryan, so you got to bear with me here for a second. Steve makes fun of me, but I make up words as I go. But the rigidity, so what happens is when you constrict it too much, then it just virtually falls out of the gun, and you can see it when you shoot on water. So I was doing that where I was shooting bigger shot with Boss, and I was actually over choking. And having to then open up the choke and then to finally get that right choke pattern with Boss, or, any of them. And then it's the same with TSS, with it being that big density where you can do that in turkey loads. And going on with the turkey loads, like, it's one single shot. If you miss and you don't pattern, then you're just going to continue to miss, where you have to pattern. Where I think that your whole operation is so important for guys, because they really are patterning them guns to get them on, a pie plate at 30 yards, Yeah.
And we talk about this a lot, where it's like trying to figure out the disconnect between why waterfowlers don't pattern their guns typically and turkey hunters are all about it. And it's like, well, for turkey hunting, you may only get the one shot. So I totally get it. But then you kind of go the other way and you're like, hey, I'm going to duck hunt a bunch, and I'm going to get more opportunities. So you're doing something more. You should probably hone your craft, where it's like, if you're trying to get a turkey into, hopefully 20 yards, which as a real turkey hunter, that's what you should really strive for, is get them up close. It's kind of the same thing where it's like you should probably do that even more so. And yeah, you have more opportunities typically, but it just doesn't make sense why you wouldn't, other than price point, which I believe we've pretty much solved. And because it's $59.99 for a box of waterfowl, and that's nothing really. I mean, you got guys with $1,000+ shotguns and $1,000 waders, and depending on where you're at, you probably have a $10,000 boat. And so it's like the moment of truth. You should know what happens, and people are like, well, just get them in the decoys. And well, yeah, dude, like no shit, like I wish it was that simple every time, but it's just not. And even at 20 to 30 yards, like I've seen pretty large deviations in patterns, and until you put it on paper, you don't know what's actually happening. So like every time I shoot a new load or a new choke, or even just a different distance, I text Brody all the time. So I'm like, dude, holy shit, like this is so cool to see the difference at different yardages and all of that. And it's really eye opening. So you get to understand what is actually happening when you pull the trigger. And it's our biggest goal is a conservation aspect, really, where our goal is to prevent as many crippled birds as possible. And you're never gonna get rid of all of them. But I think there was a few years ago, I want to say Delta had put out, I know they had put one out a while back, but I think there was another one that come out. It was like 1.2 million ducks every year are crippled. So what percentage of that is due to people having a crap pattern? I obviously can't tell you, but at the same time, I know a lot of people don't know what's actually happening downrange. So if we could even prevent, or we could help 10% of that, so out of 1.2 million, that's 120,000. If you do that every single year, those numbers are really going to start to compound, and everybody's saying duck numbers are down. Well, we should probably do every little thing we can on our end to improve those numbers. I want my kids to have more birds than I ever did.
So I think that there's a big piggyback to that, and Steve can probably help out with this too. Is a lot of that, one of the things when we got to talking with Aaron. I don't know if you ever had a conversation with Aaron Satterfield. Shout out to him, because
Not yet.
some of his and there's always tests out there, right? And all these things and this, that, and the other thing. But we used to call Winchester Woonchester. And there was a reason for it, right? And it's so true, man. Like, listen, I used to be a huge waterfowl hunter, big goose hunter. I mean, it's just nuts. The story can go on forever, but we would shoot a couple hundred geese a year, and that's all I would do. Live, breathe, and dream shooting geese. Like, it was incredible. But there was so many times, and we would, as young kids, we would just buy a box of Winchester, the cheapest round that there was, and that's what we would shoot, man. And you just pile them on, right? Because when you're shooting as much as, who knows how many shots I would actually take, but like jump shooting ducks, right? And this is the example and why we started to call it Winchester. You would shoot a duck, and you would smoke it, and the thing would go 150 yards and die, and it'd be stone cold dead. And you're like,
Boat Trader is America's largest boating marketplace with over 100,000 boats to choose from. We offer simple, comprehensive solutions for those looking to sell, find, and finance new or used boats. Visit BoatTrader.com to get started.
Knives, machetes, saws, and shears, multi-tools, shovels, swords, axes, spears, hatchets, and tomahawks. If it cuts, snips, slices, or chops, Midway USA has it. Find great gift ideas in our huge selection of pocket knives and other everyday carry folding knives. Make a statement or create a family legacy with one of our top-of-the-line hunting knives. We've got a great selection of manual and electric sharpeners, too. For just about everything for the outdoors, check out MidwayUSA.com.
what? That's the weirdest thing. You shoot it right in the chest, and then it dies way off, and you're like, what the hell? So we would call it Winchester. But I think that what it is that penetration of that load going into that down and finally getting in there and killing it by the time that it had gotten there. It's like double lung shooting a deer and it runs off, where we're not used to that. Like, we shoot them in the head and they die right on contact, and you're like, okay, good, great. But there's that percentage that you body shoot and they do die downstream, and Winchester was huge for it, man. Like, you would lace them up and then they'd watch them and then they die, and you're like, oh my god, you gotta be kidding me, and the thing in waterfowl is that counts towards your bag limit. So like, even if you know that you wounded, it should.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, it technically it does. A lot of people are like, coyotes got to eat too, and just keep on shooting. And you're like,
well, talk to a federal game warden and tell them that, and see what happens. Because in all reality, that's your bag limit. Like if you wound a bird, that counts as your bag. I mean, like, and we pay attention to that, especially, when you go with guides or whatever. Like, if you wound a bird and you can't, say sea duck hunt, and you wound a bird and you can't recover that bird, that's part of your bag limit. Like, period. Yeah. Because then, and I think that would cut down a lot of the numbers that Delta's putting out too, where they're not shooting as many birds and they're counting their cripples, so there's less birds being killed. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a cause and effect there in that aspect of it. But going back on it, like, guys talk about, there's a penetration rate at a distance too. It's not just, patterning it on paper. How effective and what effective range does that have, where steel shot doesn't have the density of lead shot? It's not hitting as hard, and it's not being as effective at a longer range to kill an animal.
Yeah.
Right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve.
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, you.
I mean, I'm not a waterfowler, but yeah.
Like turkeys. So like with TSS, and you have the effective range at 75 yards at an 1.5 inch penetration with 9-shot TSS. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same when you break it down into waterfowl. But steel is not as dense, and it's not having that penetration rate that like a high density lead or TSS.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that comes along with it.
I mean, the other thing
there's a lot. It's not just, like you say, it's not just BBs in a circle. It does come down to energy downrange. So like, there is a lot, and I would say most people probably don't have they don't have access to ballistic gel. So that's when stuff really starts to get hard. But I think that's one reason that bismuth has become such a popular thing is it is more effective. So one of the things, like with our boxes, is it allows you it kind of like some cost analysis. So you're like, all right, hey, yeah, like that box is $10 more than that one, but it shoots so much better. So yes, I have more upfront cost, but now I'm only shooting that bird one time instead of 2 and 3 and 4 times, which everybody's out there has done it, where that bird is still skimming along the water and you're hitting it, but you're not putting it down. So there's some trade-off there. Like, yeah, it's $40 a box, but you're going to shoot half as much. And one, you're going to save a little bit of money in the long run. You're going to save yourself time. I don't know how every duck hunter out there has missed out on birds because you're out there chasing a crippled duck. And then you look up and you're like, well, damn, there was birds working, or like they were, 3 seconds from being in the decoys. And then, so something else that I'd really thought about, more and more is how it's going to affect your dog. So if your dog is constantly working its tail off, trying to get birds that are crippled, that's harder on that dog. And especially if it's in real cold situations, that could potentially have a real detrimental effect on your dog. I mean, I know guys every year. I know guys lose hunting dogs in cold weather, whether it's on ice. If they're chasing a crippled bird, and it's like that may have something to do. Maybe your pattern sucked and you had no clue what it was doing. But for me, I'm like, whatever you can do to make that dog's job a little bit easier, I would think that you should probably do that, because I would say everybody who has a dog or a hunting dog, like that's your buddy. Like I have we've got a dog, you can probably see her in the background jumping on the bed. But like, if someone were ever happening to that dog, like that'd be crushing. So I would say that you should do whatever you can to safeguard that dog as much as possible.
It's funny that you bring that up, because honestly, it's so true, and especially a lot of us, like a lot of the training things that you do with a waterfowl dog is train with decoys, because decoys have strings. By the end of the day, the cold water, so on and so forth. A lot of the times, like sea duck hunting, we don't even bring dogs, because they'll get wrapped up in the long lines and drowned. The big thing that we have now is seals. So if they're tired and seals come in, I mean, there's a lot that adds to that, and the dog plays a big role. If they're chasing wounded birds all day long, you're going to bring down on the energy of that dog, and that dog gets wrapped up in one, jerk cord or something, forget it. Now you got to go in the water. So like it's definitely a true statement. That's a scary thing.
I mean, obviously, if you're sea duck hunting and you got a dog, like, I mean, you got to probably shed your waders and jump in, and then, I mean, by the time you get to that dog, I don't know. That'd be a bad situation.
Well, that's why we stopped running dogs on the ocean, because you figure you're 15 to 20 minutes from the launch, first off. So now you're stripping down. We hunt December, January, February, right? Up here in the ice, the cold, the snow. I mean, like, hypothermia is going to kick in. You're in the ocean. It's colder than a lot of other water. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not worth it. It's not. It's physically not worth it. Like, you're just to lose a dog. It's just I don't know, man. A lot of these guys, they don't run them no more. And sea lions is a huge thing now in the northern part. Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Like they'll attack a dog.
They'll kill him.
Really?
Yeah, Pit Boss, all those guys. They don't. Pit Boss lost a dog actually, hunting. Yeah, and
really,
yeah.
Yeah. I've talked with him a few times. I'll have to ask him about that. I mean, golly, that's was it this past season that they lost a dog to a shark?
I don't recall.
Not them, but I saw somewhere in the Northeast a shark had attacked a dog.
I mean, it's that time of year, man, where them things are around. I mean, it's the big thing now is obviously seal lions. I mean, we see them almost every single time that we go out on the coast of Rhode Island. I mean, the seals are there all the time. They eat our wounded ducks. Sometimes you got to rush to get to your ducks because the sea lion will get them. Yeah, dude. Yeah,
that's like people in the South with gators.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they'll go up and grab the ducks like that?
Yeah, I haven't experienced, but I've seen, like, especially in Florida, I've seen a lot of videos of people losing them to ducks, or they're losing ducks to gators, and I'm like, nope, I'm good. Like, that's not on my to-do list. I don't need to be. Nope.
No.
I've played with my life enough, and I mean, I'm a firefighter now, so I guess going into burning buildings is another thing. So but I play with my life enough. I don't need to risk it doing something stupid like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Is that something that you deal with a lot, like down there? Is the gators and stuff when you're duck hunting, puddle jumping, or?
I mean, I've hunted. I mean, I guess it really anywhere you go into the water, in a lot of spots, like there's a chance for a gator. I mean, I haven't seen one yet while I've been duck hunting. But I mean, I mean, I see them here in town. Like there's a creek that runs through town, and you'll see them on there a lot. And those are small. Those are small ones. But the golf courses that are close to my kid's school, like you'll see some 8-9 foot gators.
Wow.
And then I mean, there's several rivers that run through this area, and I mean, I've seen some like 10-foot plus gators. And and I know people duck hunt those spots. So it's like, dude, it's just that's just a big loss right there. You were not walking away from that one most likely.
That's crazy. So I want to get back to kind of the Pattern Pros kind of thing. So for turkey season's coming up, obviously. With that, what are some of the rounds that you're offering in the turkey load boxes? Because we kind of didn't go over. We kind of went over the duck.
Yeah, well, I guess I kind of skimmed over that too, but so we have so we have Migra. So Migra came out with their turkey loads. Migra, Salt Creek, which is a small company out of Utah. Let's see, Apex, Boss, Fiocchi Golden Turkey. I think those are all 5 in the TSS box, and then in the lead box, it's Winchester Longbeard. I think Golden Turkey. I'm blanking right now. Double X, and then Super X, and then Longbeard XR. I think that's the 5 of them. And that's pretty much the same ones in the other box. Federal Third Degree is another one on there.
So there's a big mix of them.
Yeah. So for the most part, it's the most popular. It's the most popular shells, in general, and so we're still trying to expand, especially with 410, which I think is real cool, just because it allows kids just so much better opportunity shooting. Like my oldest, she's 7.5 now, and I carried her 410 last year for a little bit. I didn't get a chance to shoot it, but just the TSS loads I think is real cool. But so honestly, like for the most part, every major ammo manufacturer we have in there, and then so I think in the 3.5 inch box we've got. We also have the heavy Magnum blend, which I think is 5, 6s, and 7s. So it's really I mean, there's obviously still some missing, and we're working on expanding. But this company still hasn't been around for very long. Like it was January of 23 when the company officially got started. Like we formed the LLC, but our website didn't even get launched until June. So it's been less than a year. And so we started with waterfowl, and then turkey boxes came out in February, right before NWTF. So we're gaining some real traction, and talking with all of these ammo companies. They honestly love it. It's marketing for them. We're getting their shells in other people's hands that may have never tried it before. So it was really cool to see. Like I'd already talked with a bunch of them, but it was really cool to see them all in person there at NWTF. And I mean, Remington, Heavy Shot, Federal. I mean, just about all of them. And it was like they're like, "This is awesome." So it was cool to see all their reactions, especially like it's one thing to talk with the small companies who I love, and it's cool to see that they've made waves. But it was like I expected big companies to kind of almost like look like kind of put their nose up at us a little bit, but it was the opposite. So that was pretty refreshing. And I think it's the way I'm hearing things and seeing things is the smaller guys who are doing, hand loading, or, Migra and Boss, who are still, relatively new companies that have been around for, 5 or 6 years now. They've made such a quality product that I think they're going to force the big guys to maybe they look back at their stuff a little bit.
I think it's super cool, especially on the turkey. I mean, the waterfowl side's great, especially, like we were talking about before, with if you can get guys to pattern their waterfowl guns, right? I mean, like, absolutely. But for the turkey side, like, dude, there's so many options. Choke sizes, different things that guys do, especially 410, 20 gauge. They're starting to get into the sub rounds, that's a huge thing. And especially it becomes so expensive. So expensive. TSS, I mean, a box of TSS is super expensive, and
$60 at minimum.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And somebody had said, was like, well, I don't know if I would base what shell I'm going to use just off of one shot, because it's in our turkey box, it's 5 shells with one shot of each. And I'm like, well, okay, fair enough, but that's going to give you plenty of data. But at the same time, if you wanted to base it off of more, I was like, go ahead, buy another box. Now you're getting 2 shells, and that's still going to be cheaper than you going out and buying multiple boxes of shells of your normal TSS.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like providing you, like, it's saving you money. And I understand, like, some guys, like, dude, I saw it at NWTF where it was like a guy rolled up to one of the ammo companies, like, yeah, whatever, I'll take 2 boxes. And I'm like, God, like they're $130 or whatever it was. And I was like, dude, like, that's crazy. Or, like, honestly, like, the waterfowl stuff, I see it all the time where people are like, hey, I just bought a case of this. What are your thoughts on it, or how does it shoot out of this gun? And I'm like, dude, like, you just spent $300 at me, and you have no clue how it shoots. I'm like, that's kind of terrifying to me. Like, why would you do that? That's, like, I don't like to spend money on more than a couple things, and even then I'm like, I don't know. And these guys are just like willy-nilly just throwing it out there. And unfortunately, a lot of them probably aren't going to go pattern their guns.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, Christian, I've used this example probably a dozen times now, but it was so bad. He had a brand new Winchester SX4 20 gauge that he had bought right at the end of the year, last year. And so we were going to Arkansas in middle of January. Well, he came here for a few days the first week of January, and we went out and patterned. And he was shooting 25 yards. That's just where he wanted to shoot. So, all right. First shell, we walk out there, and it was like, we have full-size patterning targets as well. So they're 36 inch by 48 inch. So you actually get to see your full pattern, which is hard to find. And he shot, and it was like almost the entire, like, length was covered pretty much. It was everywhere. I mean, there was literally no pattern, and I was like, holy shit, like, that is awful. And then we shot another shell, and we went through 5 or 6 different shells, and they were all equally as bad. And it was like, dude, we were gonna hunt the next day. I'm like, you can't hunt with this. Like, there's no, like, you couldn't kill anything. It would have to be within 10 yards probably. It was that bad. And I was like, dude, it's sad because somebody got that gun for Christmas, I'm sure, and probably tried to go out and hunt with that. And that was just the factory modified. Wasn't an aftermarket. And I was like, somebody has tried to go hunt with that same setup and I'm sure had birds at 20 yards and couldn't take a feather off them. It was so bad. And I was like, people, it's having the knowledge of your shot is just like such a big thing that people don't understand. And it's like, dude, like you just go shoot it a couple times and see what's actually happening. Cause it was eye opening, but like I looked at him like, dude, you can't hunt with that. There's just no way you cannot hunt. So I was like, take my other gun. But so many people just don't know what's happening. And it's like, you did so many other things to get ready for the hunt. You spent thousands of dollars on guns, decoys. I mean, everything else. You got up at 3:00 in the morning. You went all the way out there. And I guess if you're sea duck hunting, like I've never sea duck hunted. But I'm sure like that's no small task of driving however far out and into the like.
I don't think any of it is, even, setting decoys. I mean, it's virtually the same thing as going goose hunting or duck hunting. I mean, you're still spending all that time setting decoys, getting ready, going far, going scouting, finding. Same with turkey hunting, same with deer. I mean, it's all across the board. And I think that, not only patterning a gun, but sighting in a bow. Guys will shoot it at 30 yards and they'll try and get it in a pie plate and they go, oh, yeah, that's good. Hey, it looks good enough. Or, they shoot a rifle and they got it on a pie plate and there's 7 inches in between. Oh, that's good, and it's the same thing. Why aren't we you're putting, I say it like this, and this is how I've kind of explained it to a lot of people across the board for a very long time, is you have to, if you were to cast a line out, you say you go fishing, right? And you cast a line out, you want to have that presentation of that bait 100% because you only have one chance, right? You don't want some shitty bait out there because when that fish comes and looks at it, you only have that one chance to catch that fish, right? And it could sit out there for an hour. But you throw out that perfect presentation and that's perfect. But why, in hunting still, you want to make sure you only get one shot. If that buck of a lifetime comes by you want to make sure and be confident. The biggest thing in hunting and fishing is confidence. You're only as good as how confident you are. If you pull that trigger that you're going to hit where you aim, you're going to shoot so much better. I mean, it's 100% proven fact.
Mm-hmm.
So people, are you saying that they before bow season, they're damn sure going to shoot their bow and know that that's on. Before rifle season, they're going to be damn sure that they know that their rifle is at least some. You're like, that's good.
Well, enough. Not always, Ryan. Not always, buddy.
I'm talking about someone who is what you should do.
Okay,
most
right.
People.
Should. Yes.
Most people.
Yes.
But it's like, why would you not? Like it doesn't. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. You do it. Go pattern your gun in the off. Like here in 2 months when you got nothing going on. Yeah, you can be fishing. And obviously I love fishing, but go get ready for the season. And it takes you, I don't know, 2 hours to go pattern your gun, go shoot. We got 24 shells in a box. Go shoot that. And I've done it. I've taken it to a little bit higher level than what you necessarily need to, and I've sat there and actually counted all of the BBs,
right?
In that circle. You don't necessarily need to do that. You can do your eye test, but at the same time, it's just like just go spend a little time. Plus, it's fun to just go shoot, man. Like take a buddy, go shoot for an hour or two. And be done with it. And you're like, all right, well now, as long as you don't change your choke or change your gun, right, like that's going to shoot good. You've got it figured out.
So we had actually somebody on Facebook just wrote, agreed, you have to pattern your gun whether you're hunting or shooting clays. My Winchester SX3 shoots slightly to the left where my Browning over and under shoots dead center. So like each gun.
So it's not. It is for us. It is knowledge of your shot because they all shoot different. And some, 6 months ago, I didn't even know it. Or no, man, a little bit longer. But shimming your gun. I didn't know what a shim was. Brody had to tell me. I'm like, what the hell is what are you talking about? And so it's like, all right, hey, I'm shooting my gun, whatever shoots to the left. And all right, hey, now I patterned it. I understand what's gonna happen, and now I can shim it and be like, all right, now I'm dead center. Or hey, it's only a slight adjustment. Maybe I'll just I'll aim a little offset. Whatever it is. But it's just all about knowledge of actually what's happening. And like you said, with that knowledge comes confidence.
Think of
go ahead. You know what your shot's going to do. Like, you can be like, well, I have no question whether I'm going to shoot. It's like, if you go out there during deer season, you're like, dude, I haven't shot this gun in freaking 2 years, and I have no idea. And a buck walks out, or hell, even a doe, at 200 yards, you're like, I mean, it might be on, or I might miss it. I might hit it in the ass, or I may miss it by 6 inches.
Well, think of point of aim too, right? So not even where where you're shooting, but think of like point of aim. Like, look at all these competition trapper skeet shooters where they have raised stocks, and they're, like you said, shimming and moving, and different stocks for different point of aim, and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, what is the difference when you're going out and hunting? Like, why you need to know where your gun is shooting? Like, I don't understand it.
It is. I don't know. It's some of it's frustrating. There's just one comment on Facebook where somebody had said, he's like, patterning your gun is a waste of time and ammo. I commented back. I was like, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but that's a ridiculous statement.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, here's the fun. I see it a lot more on the archery side, but it's the same thing with this waterfowl shit, right? Guys have no problem going out and spending $3,000 on a bow. You're buying the brand new flagship bow. You're buying a $300 sight, a stabilizer. You got to get a new rest. You got to get a new quiver. You're $3,000 into it, and then you're like, God damn, that's a $30 broadhead. Oh, so now you're cheap? Now you're cheap. It's the same thing when it comes to the wing shooting and all that stuff. Guys, help me out here. $3,000 for a top of the line, over under gun or whatever. Right. Mac Daddy, best gun on the market. But you can't spend $50 on a box of ammo to pattern the gun. It's like you're done spending money because you bought the gun and that's it. You're done. Now you're cheap.
Well, it's an image thing.
Like,
it looks good.
You go spend $600 on a gun.
And pattern the shit out of it and kill shit.
Yeah, and that's right. Why, I would say, the old timers, they probably understood, they weren't flashy. Back in the 50s, they're not flashy with shit.
Right.
And they just knew what, obviously they didn't have as many options for shells and guns and chokes and all that. But it's now it's unfortunately the who looks best.
Right.
Or I look cool on social media.
Exactly.
And you're like, dude, to hell with that, man. Go ahead, post your pictures. I'm all about posting pictures. And that looks cool. And I love to see, dead deer and turkeys and ducks and everything else in between. But just do the one little thing that's going to help you literally lead you to success. And it's there's so many in the hunting world. There are so many gimmicks, unfortunately, and that aren't really actually going to help you. I mean, some of them do, I'm sure, but it's you understanding what the hell's going to happen when you pull the trigger that's why you're there. You were there, you were there to shoot. And I mean, most of the time you go to the woods, you're not pulling the trigger. And I love it all. I truly do enjoy it.
Ryan,
I still want to shoot something every time.
Ryan, let me break this down. And you being a military man, you're going to understand this a little bit more. And this is kind of how I look at things, especially when it comes to everything. Carrying a sidearm, okay? This is the biggest deal. And all of us, self-defense, guys that have, whatever. So I carry a Glock. I'm a big Glock fan. Always have been. Whatever it is, what it is, right? You just know, damn right, when you pull that trigger, it's gonna go off no matter what. I can put it in sub freezing. I can put it in the mud. I can soak it in water. I know that gun is dummy proof and it's gonna fire, right? But I take that gun and I put 1,000 rounds through that gun before it ends up on my waist every single day. And the reason why, no matter what gun that it is, and the reason is because I know when I raise that thing up, it's like a third hand to me, and I know my point of aim is 100%, and I know if I ever came down to it, and God forbid, I hope not, but if I ever had to shoot somebody or something, that I know that the things around me are protected. So why shouldn't it be? People should have that mentality when trying to shoot something. If you're on right, so you being military, how many range days did you get in a month to go and practice with your carry guns?
Unfortunately not. So like you would go a while without actually getting a chance to shoot, and then when you did get a chance to shoot, it was a bunch.
Yep.
I mean, I pulled the trigger in my 8 years in the Corps. I pulled the trigger probably more than most people will pull in their entire lifetime, just in that eight month span. And it's like everybody says the Marine Corps is a cult, which the cult, the gang. I mean, it's a different place.
Hunting boots are a critical component of any successful hunt. Whether walking a short distance to your blind or trudging miles through rugged terrain, your feet are carrying the load. Without the right boots, you could give up early and lose out on that trophy just over the ridge. At Midway USA, we make selecting boots for your next hunt easier. With just a few clicks of a mouse, you can decide on what's important, like waterproofing, insulation, size, width, and savings. For just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors, check out MidwayUSA.com.
Fishing like a local isn't just about catching fish. It's about connecting with the environment and the people who call it home. It's about hearing the stories and traditions that have been passed down for generations and sharing unforgettable moments with the people you meet along the way. Fishing like a local is having an experience that stays with you forever. And with Fishing Booker, you can experience it too, no matter where you are. Discover your next adventure on Fishing Booker.
But we had a rifleman's creed. It's like, what is it? This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. I mean, it's like, it is like, that is your damn gun, and you are going to, that is above all else the most important thing. Like when you went to the field, like I was a grunt, I was in the infantry. And it was, when you were in the field, it was weapon, gear, body. So the first thing you took care of when you had a chance was your weapon. Then it was your gear, and then it was your body. Because it was known as like, your body is going to last so much. It can do so much more than what you think it can. Your weapon is only going to go as far as you allow it to. Mm-hmm. And if you don't take care of it, it's going to fail you. And so I think going back to what I was saying with why waterfowlers don't pattern their guns, they have so many more opportunities and they're like, whatever, I'll just do a bunch of shooting and birds will die. Well, it's like, all right, what if you have a bird of a lifetime come in? What if it's a super rare bird, and you never pattern gun, you bam, 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 oh shit, I missed. Or I haven't had this happen before, but for instance, my brother-in-law told me about it, where they had a bird coming in and they could actually see that it was banded. And they didn't end up killing it, but it was like one of those things you're like, well, shit, like maybe my pattern sucked. Or it's like, man, I shot and like, how the hell I missed? And then you go pattern your gun, you're like, oh, well, that's why. And it's like, yeah, like practicing is super important. But if you don't have the right tool, it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. You're going to be shooting birds, by accident, essentially, if your pattern is absolute trash. So it's like, it just doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me. And I think some of it is the money aspect where like guys don't want to go spend that, $200 on buying shells Or it's the other way around where I've talked to a bunch of guys like, where the hell were you guys 10 years ago? I've wasted $1,000 on different chokes and shells and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, well, I mean, we're here now. I can't help you a decade ago, but so we're really, really trying to change the way people go about hunting with a shotgun, and we're trying to do it in a way that is stupid simple. Like literally, like here's all of the shells. You don't have to go to 3 different stores to buy whatever the hell you're doing. You're not buying it from 3 different online stores and then paying $10 in shipping for every single one. So we're trying to make it as simple as possible. Like I said, we're 3 Marines. We're not like the most. I know I've said some fairly intelligent words, and tonight I don't know where the hell those came from.
It's a college
but
shirt.
It's like, yeah, right. And I had to look good today. Okay, I go and talk with Migra. I had to look my best. This is me and my best. I've got a somewhat camo Columbia shirt and a camo Pattern Pro Sat. That's about as good as it gets. And shit, you got me distracted now, Trevor.
It's okay.
I can't multitask.
3 Marines.
3 Marines.
Oh yeah. It's like
I just want to know, does each box come with a half-eaten crayon?
No, we ate the crayons. We're not leaving you half.
What is the best flavored color?
Rainbow. I mean, you just all of them at one time. It's like when I go get ice cream, I'm not getting vanilla or chocolate. I'm getting rainbow sherbet. I'm getting all of them. Like there's no messing around. Like I don't want one flavor. Give me all of them.
I love it.
But we want to keep it simple and.
Well, the military says keep it simple.
Keep it stupid simple.
Keep it simple stupid.
Whatever. I'm stupid. I don't know. There's a lot more, probably some more choice words that would be involved in that conversation. And you wonder why Marines, like, I remember sitting there, like, listening to some conversations. I'm like, dude, like, there's no wonder we have a hard time integrating back into society. Because it was like, it forever changes everything about you. Like, and not necessarily always in a good way. It pretty much, especially like in the infantry, it taught you how to be homeless and kill stuff. Because it was like, you wouldn't shower for weeks on end. You walked everywhere. And then you had a gun at all times.
So it's like turkey season.
And then, yeah, except you get to go home. You get to go home at night. And for me, I shot I did rockets and demolition with my bread and butter. So I always said, if there was a job that allowed me to shoot rockets in the civilian world, that's what I'd be doing. But we're just trying to keep it just as easy as possible for people. And so like Brody's done a phenomenal job with things that I would have never thought about. So it's like he has this thing that we have 3D printed called a CAD. Stands for Circle Assist Device. And it is got four holes in it, and it literally just allows you put your pen in the middle or finger or whatever, and then you'll put your Sharpie in that first hole, and that'll be a 10-inch circle, and then a 20-inch circle, and then a 30-inch circle. So it just makes it easy to see actually how good your pattern is. It does make it. It just kind of puts it right there in front of you, allows you to see it easier. And then the other thing, which I thought was unbelievably insightful, another more than one syllable word, was in our pack of targets. It actually comes with 25 targets for waterfowl, and even though we only had 24 shells in the box, and it was because that 25th target is this, so you're going to shoot that first, and so ideally you're going to shoot it with a different load. You're not going to shoot one of the 24, so you can shoot a lead load or any other load, and it's going to allow you to see your point of impact. Because like we were talking about earlier, just because that's where you're aiming doesn't necessarily mean your point of impact is going to be the same as your point of aim. So like we're saying, like Benelli's, they typically shoot high. So it allows you to see, hey, this is actually where the center of my pattern is, because you're not trying to determine at that point what your gun is going to, where it's going to be shooting. You're trying to find just the best patterning shell. So like for my 870, it shoots just a couple inches high. So I understand that when I go to draw my circle, I'm actually going to start from the center of the most dense part of your pattern. And there, you see a bunch of different ways on the internet on how to you're supposed to do it. And that seems to be the best way to do it. But when he said that, I was like, holy shit! Like, I would have never thought of that. But he's a gun nut. Like, I'm like, I don't know. You shoot at the damn paper, and then you see your pattern. You're good to go. And when I was like, no, you're trying to figure out the best patterning shell. I'm like, oh yeah, I would have. That just never even crossed my mind. Because we have a single 1-inch black dot in the middle of that paper. So like, that's your aim point. But like, for instance, like some people, their guns shoot left. So if you're going off the pattern of center of that black dot, it's not going to appear as good because everything is, 3 or 4 inches to the left. But now you go off the center of the most dense part of your pattern, and you're like, oh, okay. Like it just, again, knowledge of your shot and what's going on. So it's been a real learning process. Like I've learned a lot. And then even in like the last couple months about over constriction, and like seeing it on some of these Facebook groups where it's like, hey, people are recommending that you're actually over constricting sometimes, so it actually blows out your pattern. But a lot of that you don't actually understand until you're putting it on paper. So it's just like, the more you're doing that kind of stuff, you learn so much. I've learned every single time I've actually gone to put whatever it is on paper. So it's been a cool process, but you learn real quick because it's right there in front of you. I like pictures, so it makes it easy for me.
That makes me want to ask another question, Ryan. In these packs of shells, aside from the blends, are you getting the same shot size in every shell, or are you getting like, say it's turkeys, you getting some 9s, you getting some 8s, you getting some 7s, or are you going to get like 9s across the board?
So eventually we'd like to incorporate every single size. So right now, like for our TSS, I believe they are all 9s. I think the Apex box that I had ordered earlier this week, that's in there now, I think that's 8s. And it was just due to the fact that it's a rough time of the year in terms of trying to find ammo. So I elected to put 8s in that one. I'm like, you're at least going to have that's still going to give you about the right picture. Or if you're like, hey, look, that pattern phenomenal, like go buy 8s now. But for waterfowl, it's, you have shot size 2 box, and then you have a shot size 3. Now, like for the Migra, if I remember correctly, I think in the shot size 2 box, it is their 2s and 3s load, and then for the 3 box is their 2s and 4s, and then like for Boss, I want to say it's 5s. No, it might be 4s in the number 2 box and 5s in the 3 box. My mind's been away from waterfowl for a while now, but so we're trying to make it as universal as possible, because sometimes that's not fair to compare one shell to another. Like, hey, that was 7s and that's 9s. But we're trying to make it as universal as possible. And next year it'll be even better. We'll expand. We'll we'll have more brands next year. We'll have more shot sizes. Ideally, we'd like to have, for at least for turkeys, incorporate 28 gauge. We may. I don't know if we'll get in 28 gauge for waterfowl, just because it's kind of limited as far as the amount of loads that there is. It's pretty much the guys who are shooting 28 gauges are usually using bismuth. So it'd only be a couple, I feel like. But we're really trying to expand. And thankfully, like we have really gotten a lot of these ammo companies on board. So that's allowing our purchasing to go smoother, because we're not having to go through a retailer, and it helps our prices, which is a lot. Like for the turkey stuff, like that's really shown. Like I wasn't sure before we'd actually even come out with the turkey stuff. I was like, I don't think we can make a TSS box, just because I was like, dude, that's so expensive. But it's allowing us to.
What is the price on the TSS boxes?
That's a good question, Trevor. $55.
Oh, that's not bad for 5 shots.
So that's cheaper than you going to buy a normal box of TSS,
Wow.
which has been like the fact that we were able to get it to that price. I was like, I was like, that is, for me, I was like, that was a huge accomplishment, because I was like, if it's the same price as the TSS you're already shooting, you're like, well, whatever, I'll just stick with whatever I'm doing. But if it's actually a little bit cheaper, like you're more inclined, ideally, people are going to be more inclined to buy that and get to try it out. So it's now, and then you got your lead boxes too, which are a little bit cheaper. And so it's funny, like you see like 2 completely different chains of thoughts when it comes to turkey hunters. For the most part, it's like you've got 45% of people that are, I'm shooting freaking lead, and you get the other 45 who are, I'm shooting TSS, and then you've got the remaining 10%. Yes, I did that math in my head. You've got the remaining 10% who are kind of seem to be going either way. They're like, I've always shot lead, or man, like TSS is just too expensive. I'll go shoot Longbeard XR. But there's
nothing wrong with Longbeard XR. I mean, it's probably
shot great out of my gun.
It's probably killed more turkeys than any other
modern load.
Honestly,
well, yeah, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I don't even know how long that's been out.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So it's funny because like that really is the most popular. It seems like that is the most popular lead load. But Trevor or Steve, do you guys know Daniel Gross?
Yeah, absolutely. We just had him on the podcast last week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So he actually shot our lead box a few weeks ago. So it was cool because honestly, I don't think the XR shot great out of it. Like the Fiocchi going Golden Turkey, the lead, it actually shot pretty solid. That and like the nitros, the Remington nitros, which people talk crap about all the time. And I think he was, if I remember, he was shooting at 40, which for lead is for the most part getting close to the end of your range. But those two actually, if I remember correctly, those two actually shot pretty solid. And I was like, that just goes to show you that it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the most expensive shell in the box. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to shoot best. Like one of our buddies shot the Remington High Speed out of our waterfowl loads. That actually patterned best out of his gun, and that's like the cheapest waterfowl shell we have.
Yeah, Daniel went to Academy and was getting like the cheap Winchester rounds because they shot the best out of his gun.
That's what I shot. That's what I killed my bird with last year. It was a Winchester Super X, $10 for 10 shells.
That's what he
And
was shooting.
I mean, I shot and I was like, dude, I was like, I can't shoot past 40. I was like, 40 pushing it. But I was like, 25, like 30 yards. I was like, dude, like,
This is
I'm good.
12 gauge 3-inch.
Yeah. And I was like, that's like the cheapest crap there is. But again, it's that knowledge. And it's just cool to see. I was like, well, that's as cheap as it gets. And some of it's about like where you're hunting too. Like, if you know you're going to have to shoot it a little bit longer, that's something to take into account. But like a lot of the spots where I hunt on our hunting club, like they're coming out of the swamps and you don't necessarily get a ton of opportunities at longer shots. And they did a bunch of logging and thinning on our club, so there's some more open spots now. But even then, like I shot the Winchester, the Longbeard XR, and I was like, dude, I'd have no issues with that. But I went with Salt Creek, and like it's definitely a benefit about having a relationship with him. But I was like, it shot phenomenal on my gun. So I'm like, let's let it rip, boys. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, and it's been a while since I shot it. I thought there was something with the wad on the XRs.
There is. It's a reversed wad.
Yeah, and it had to do with what manufacturer choke you ran didn't get along with that wad.
So you
or
can't shoot a ported choke with a Longbeard XR.
Bingo. Yeah.
Because it has a reversed wad. There's a couple of rounds out there that actually have that, especially in the waterfowl world. You can't shoot a ported choke because the wad actually gets stuck in there. So your first shot goes through and it kind of shoots semi-normal, but the wad gets stuck, and then the second shot piles up behind it, and it'll actually detonate and blow up your gun.
We were at Migra today. We were talking about that kind of stuff, about a particular choke and some of the dangers behind it. And I'm like, that's like, I don't think people necessarily give it credit where it's like, every time you pull a trigger, there is there's an explosion going off right in front of you, like at your face. And it hasn't. Thank God it hasn't happened to me, but like I've seen plenty of pictures and videos of people's barrels blown up. And I mean, hell, actually, one of the last duck hunts I got to do in California, that was our last duty station. I looked over at my buddy's barrel, and it was bulged and slightly cracked. And I'm like, we don't know what. And I looked over and I'm like, dude, what's going on there? And so I don't know, like, if that just happened to be like the last shot that he had taken.
Right.
But it was like, that potentially could have been catastrophic. So some people don't.
So Black Cloud is the same way in the waterfowl world, that has a reversed wad that has like these little tiny like wings that stick off of it. And those wings are what gets stuck in the ported barrels. Remington used to have one. Actually, when I was growing up as a kid, we had a neighbor, a good friend of ours, who was actually shooting a Remington load, and it got stuck in the barrel, and then the second one detonated, and it blew up. It was like a pipe bomb. I mean, that's literally what it is. It's a pipe bomb. And he woke up, and he was on the ground. He didn't even know what happened. He shot. Pheasant goes up. He shoots. Boom. Shoots again. Boom. And then the thing blew up in his face like a flashbang. And he's on the ground. And there's just shrapnel everywhere. Thank God nothing happened to him. It ended up being a big lawsuit. And it was kind of a big deal. But he's lucky nothing happened to him, or he didn't get killed or blown up in his face, or those things happen. I mean, that's part of using. That kind of thing, and having a gun in your face. Like there was a recall, I won't drop names, but on a muzzleloader that where the fuck, help me out here. where like a break action, and it has the
Percussion cap.
yeah where the percussion cap goes. Yeah, it's a. But anyways, that the
breech.
The breech. There you go. Inside of the breech plug. The breech plug. The breech plug ended up blowing out. Sorry, we're just mumbling on. The breech plug ended up the threading was no good, and the threading let go. So he went to go shoot, and it just blew back. And the same thing, pipe bomb right in his face, burnt his face, all kinds of stuff. It was a local kid I grew up with. Get black powder all over his face. So I mean, that stuff's out there, and that stuff is stuff to be careful about. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it really is. That's the way a gun works. So.
Somebody had said thoughts on duplex loads since different shot sizes have different weights and velocities. Well, I mean, like Migra, their 2.4 is their big thing. Voss has 3.5s. There's the Migra Plus now, which I've heard actually really good, or not Migra, Fast Deal Plus. I can't speak in terms of like real technical stuff, but I've shot the Migra actually shot best out of my gun when I shot our pattern pack. It shot phenomenal, and
I don't know. I have mixed reviews on that, where that double shot size, I feel that it's not as effective as people think that it is, honestly. That's my personal opinion. Because that you have two different size loads going down, and I think that you're losing kinetic energy as you go at different speeds because of the different weights of what the pellets actually are. So is that so if you have 2s and 3s, are the 3s really going as far and being as effective as the 2s are, or vice versa? You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I have a mixed review on that.
I don't like that's a hard thing to. They've talking to them, they've obviously done.
Of course,
I can't even imagine how much actual science has gone into that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, honestly, I don't really know, but it seems like the bigger shot size is up front, and then the smaller is behind it. So I don't.
Listen,
I don't know.
This is you're talking sub 30 yards. It doesn't matter. You're right, but anything over
it probably does.
Yeah, because that's like stuff we were talking about before, where if you were to shoot it into like ballistics gel, how much kinetic energy is still being transferred at a longer distance? You know what I'm saying? I mean, close and personal.
I think their 2.4 load shoots at 15 feet per second. So, all right. So let's say that the 2s are going. Let's see, would they be actually slower? I think technically they'd be a little bit slower. Logically. So, all right. Let's say they're going 1450, and the 3s or 4s are going 15. Like, I mean, I would imagine that the kinetic energy is still fine. Like the kinetic, it's going still 15, and like I typically shoot 3-inch number 3s. So, I don't know.
Hey, we're not scientists. We're killers.
No. Like, all I know is it patterned phenomenal for me.
Right.
Like,
that's all that matters.
I was like, holy shit! Like, that's awesome. And then I shot the Boss War Chief. That was number 5. So I had some 2 3/4-inch number 5 Boss War Chiefs. And I shot it, and it was actually at 20 yards. It was too tight. It was like, damn. Like I was like, I could take that turkey hunting every day of the week. But when we were getting ready to go to Arkansas, I was like, you know what? I was like, I bet I'd never thrown a full choke in for waterfowl. I was like, I'm gonna try it out. And at 40 yards, I was like, I'm in the freaking money. And that's what, when we went goose hunting, we would duck hunting in the morning, goose hunting afternoon, and that was my freaking goose load. And it was outstanding.
I'll tell you this. I shot that Boss stuff for quite a couple of years, and they had a mixed load waterfowl, and it was 3.5s. And I shot their 2s. I've shot their 1s. I probably bought 10 cases of them. And we shoot them for sea ducks. And going back, we were talking about it before. And you pay a little bit of money. You don't get as much in a case, right? I think it's like 250 shots, right, or 235.
It's 200 because they're
200. That's what it is. Instead of
shells.
Instead of 250. Yeah. So I would shoot that stuff, and you literally, when you hit something, it hits so fucking hard that literally you're not. And in sea duck hunting, it's very important because you would go through a case of rounds, but I would shoot 1 shot to everybody else's 3 shots with regular steel, and I would kill them.
So you're actually saving money.
Correct. Yeah. You're actually saving money.
And so Brody had done he keeps all of his own stats.
So he's like a scientist.
Yes. Yeah. Literally a mad scientist. I mean, like every hunt, he writes it down, like how he shot, and then how many birds he killed, and then I think he saves group numbers as well in terms of not in terms of how many shots the group took, but how many birds they took. So it's like he compared last year to this year. Last year he shot, or 2 seasons ago, I think he shot steel, and then this year he shot all bismuth, and he shot like 15% better in terms of accuracy, and he killed more birds. So it's just like, all right, hey, he's like, I actually shot less and killed more. So it's like, so you are like, if you really looking at it, like you're saving money, but that's not always the case. Like you said, like the 3.5s did not shoot great for me. Was that what you were saying too, Trev? Was the 3.5s didn't shoot good for you?
No, they did. They all shot good for me. Yeah. It was just patterning them out and making sure that they were right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But again, I guess we'll just keep falling back to it. It's literally just the knowledge of what's going on. But it's cool to see him keep all, like, I mean, literally, like when we hunt together, that's pretty much like one of the first things he does when we walk back in the house. Is he goes in there, he sits there, he's got like a little, like a journal essentially that he keeps, and he writes it down every single time. Try to read the Facebook comment on
there.
Yeah,
he said shooting waterfowl and shooting turkeys are 2 different things. Waterfowl, the yardage changes throughout the day because I hunt private land, and that's not pressured. Most turkeys are at 20 yards and less, which means the ammo doesn't really matter. You could shoot number 8 trap loads and still kill turkeys. I mean, it's so true. I mean, we would do it all the time. I mean, but it doesn't mean private land, public, it doesn't matter. If you get them in close, you get them in close. I mean, a dumb 2-year-old will do that.
The biggest thing is, I would say,
knowing your gun.
It's confidence. It's giving you more confidence. Like it's the reducing your margin of error. So I say, like people who go elk hunting, some guys go out there with a 6.5 Creedmoor, which is, it's a real accurate round, but it's not. That's not designed to be an elk round in most people's eyes.
Right.
It's a smaller round, and like people are like, "Oh, I shot him, and he dropped right there." And it's like, okay, yes. However, it's not about the perfect shot that you're worried about. It's about your imperfect shot that still does the job. Because I'll take it to an extreme. All right, if I am shooting an elk with a 6.5 and my shot's off a little bit to where it's not necessarily going to be a lethal hit, or it's not going to be lethal right away, I then go shoot the same elk with a freaking 50 cal. That's obviously an extreme, but at the same time, like shooting trash, like not trash, but the cheapest lead load compared to the most, the best patterning TSS shell I would say is similar, a similar comparison, maybe a bit drastic, but it's still the same thing. It allows your imperfect shots to still get the job done in a timely manner, because while yes, we all love to shoot and kill stuff, an ethical person doesn't want that animal to suffer. It wants to be dead before it hits the freaking ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, like, using the most effective shell you can is the most ethical thing you can do.
Absolutely.
And I don't care. I seriously couldn't. I don't care what the hell people use. Use TSS, use lead, whatever. Like, just know when you pull the trigger, you just know what's going to happen. That's it. If I didn't have a connection with some of these ammo companies and I had to use something, and after shooting the XRs, I was like that shot great. I was like, zero issues taking that to the woods.
Sold.
It's still not going to be quite as effective as the TSS. Your margin of error is just, you've got, I don't even know how many freaking number 9 TSS is in the 3-inch shell, but it's a hell of a lot more than
Steve. What's the numbers?
It's like, I want to say it's 850, 900 or something like that.
Compared to what? How many you getting? I should
Four,
say number
fours. I want to say.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
I want to say like 400 and change.
You're almost doubling your payload. Yeah.
So
it's tomato because it's the same thing where guys that shoot like heavy arrows or big broadheads, it's not for the good shots, it's for the ones that are bad, that the what ifs, we call them the what ifs. If something is to go wrong, that that you're still effective at whatever range and can still kill, it's just the way it is. We're not basing it on, we could draw up a chart and talk about all the good things, but I want to know about being and killing on the things that happen wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We had this debate for fun with Matt Weddish at the Mohegan Sun show, and we were just saying how Sadie's TSS stops the flop. Like, when you shoot them with Sadie's, they don't flinch. They don't flap their wings. They just sit down and don't move. And Matt's old school. We love him to death, and he's like, it has nothing to do with what kind of round it is. We're going back and forth, but in all honesty, we all know, it honestly only takes one pellet to kill a turkey. One pellet to the brain, it's dead, right? Well, if you're slinging 800 pellets, you have more of a chance that one of them is going to hit that off switch.
Well, and it also came up in the argument of why TSS stops the flop over lead is because you're pushing 800 BBs at them, so you're actually breaking the spine faster, so that then their nerves aren't flopping, where lead isn't.
Yeah, you shoot them with TSS, you blow their feet off.
Do they still? I haven't killed a bird with TSS.
Or they roll
because do they still flop?
No.
Or literally no, they don't. They don't.
No, there's no flopping.
What, the best way I can describe it is, when you just like heart punch a deer with like a 270, and you just see their elbows just buckle. That's what.
Let me see.
They just sit down.
So there, I have a couple of videos on it, where I've shot birds before, and literally when you shoot them, they literally do not flop. Like, they literally do backflips, like instantaneously backflip, done, see you later, good night. Because of the TSS. I don't know, because if it's the energy that's hitting them so hard, if it's the,
or is it just the amount of,
I think it's the
BBs.
It's the amount, because if you think about the payload, if you're shooting a smaller shot size, right, you're back to equivalent. Like, if you're saying you're shooting like a number 5 lead, you go to a smaller shot size, you're still shooting the equivalent of a number 5, but you're just shooting twice as many of them. So when you put 10, 15 pellets in the brain, it just,
I mean,
it's the off.
I guess if they're flopping, they're still dead. So it's I guess.
All right, so let's see how we can do this. So since we're live, all right. So if I can do this, share screen. Oh, I can't. Sharing screen is not allowed. Son of a.
Trevor, I was gonna say I don't know if the after the technological difficulties an hour and a half ago, I don't know if we can push the envelope any more than just getting going.
Hey, listen, anything's possible, I guess. I've done less for more, man. But no, I think honestly, I think this discussion has been absolutely great, and I think that a lot of these things, and what you guys have offered and what you guys are doing is incredible. To save $1 for a lot of people, put them in the right zone, and being effective. And I think that we've hit home to a lot of people where it's very important to pattern your gun, either waterfowl hunting, turkey hunting, and to save those guys an extra $1.
Wait, you don't have to wonder what's actually going to shoot best out of your gun anymore. And like I'm at heart a pessimist. I don't. That probably came from the Marine Corps, but the way I'm looking at it is I'm like, all right, this is a solution for so many people. You don't have, hey, does this shoot good out of this? And it's like, all right, here you go, test it. If it doesn't shoot good, there's other options right there, and you don't have to go out and keep buying different shells and wasting it. So it's like, I'm super, man, I'm super optimistic for the upcoming months. So we've got a booth at the Delta Waterfowl Show at towards the end of July there in Baton Rouge, and I'm excited because I think it's really gonna blow the roof off. Just allowing so many people to see that their solutions are going to be that solution is just going to be right there in front of them. And it's funny, I hadn't thought about really until now where some of these guys who are locals, hell, they could buy our box one, Friday or Saturday morning, go out and shoot it that day, and then come back to the show, and pretty much every ammo company is going to be there. Then they could actually know what shoots best, go straight to that booth, and then buy that shell right then and there and be like, I don't have to wonder anymore. I shot it at 20, 30, and 40 yards, and I bought it at a better rate than having to freaking have it shipped or taxes, as many taxes that we pay nowadays. But I'm unbelievably excited for the upcoming future.
Absolutely, man. Well, one last question before we cut this thing loose is, Ryan, what drives you outdoors?
My truck.
Well, there's always one in the crowd. It's got to be.
It better be good.
What?
What kind of truck is it?
I mean, Honda Ridgeline, obviously, it's
Jeez. See, all right. See, we just took your man card from you.
No, I see that vehicle. I was behind one on the way to Charleston this morning, and I was like, I don't. Just get a truck, man.
I'll be honest with you. Honda Ridgeline would be a good truck for hunting public land, because no one would think you're an actual hunter. They'd think you're just like bird watching or something like that.
Why do you think I used to drive a Honda Civic?
I got a Toyota Tacoma.
Oh, you're a killer.
Oh my god.
No, dude, honestly, like I'm not a big vehicle person at all. It gets me to point A to point B. It drives great. It's got 4-wheel drive. Like It's got room for the kids in the back. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm happy with it. But
all right. So answer the question truly. What drives you outdoors, man? What gets you outdoors? What?
Now, I mean, honestly, really, is cliche. Everything about it, like I don't care what I'm hunting. I enjoy it, whether it's just out there. I'm out there walking. I enjoy that. Duck hunting and turkey hunting are my two favorite things because of doing those in the morning. So I got to watch everything come alive. So a lot of that it's seeing and hearing things that the average person who isn't a hunter doesn't get to see. Like when I was turkey hunting the other day, I came upon a beaver dam, and then there was actually a dead beaver, and it was like I'm probably the only person in the club that's seen it because it's like just in the middle of nothing. It wasn't an easy spot to get to. So just seeing the things really that most people don't get to see, but kind of to piggyback off of that, as a dad now, like my oldest, she's killed a couple deer, she's killed a couple ducks. That's my favorite thing now. And my youngest, she's shown more interest in it. She likes to fish now. So doing stuff with them, like watching them succeed in the outdoors is so much better. She got a lottery hunt for turkey on this coming Saturday, and I'm more pumped up about that than any other time I get to go out. So that for me is the absolute coolest thing. So I guess that's two different things, but those are my biggest things. I love it.
Absolutely, man. I'm losing battery here. Can you just tell everybody where they can find you, where they can go about finding, Pattern Pros, and kind of check you out, social media, follow along, or maybe put in an order from what you got going on?
Yeah, so we'll start with Facebook is Pattern Pros USA. Instagram is just Pattern Pros, and then our website is patternprosusa.com. And if you go on the website, you scroll all the way down, my number is there on the bottom. So if you do have any questions, I am able to answer. I'm able to answer my phone quite often unless I'm on a fire scene or something like that. But so I'm pretty readily available.
Awesome. We're back in action here. My camera died, which is always good. Well, Ryan, we appreciate you jumping on. Hopefully everybody gets on over to Pattern Pros. If you guys are looking to pattern up any guns for turkey season or waterfowl season, kind of check out what they got going on. Some really cool things. Order up from those guys. Got any questions, you know how to get a hold of them. And for everyone else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.
Hey everyone, Will Cooper here, host of HuntStand's Make Your Mark podcast. Join us as we dive deep into the world of hunting and outdoor pursuits. We've brought together some of the most accomplished individuals in the industry to share their invaluable insights and experiences with you. But here's the kicker, it's not just about hunting tips and tactics. We're exploring how you can carve your own path, elevate your skills, and gain some wisdom from the best in the field. So whether you're a seasoned hunter looking to fine-tune your skills or a newbie eager to learn, our podcast has something for everyone. Stay tuned for more exciting guests and hotter topics. Don't miss out and subscribe to HuntStand's Make Your Mark podcast today and start making your mark in the great outdoors.